Oh, welcome to Blockchain Basement. On today's episode, we're going to talk about an insane AI jailbreak, why sell in May, walk away is just a meme, and you should be doing your own research and don't listen to too many memes, and some top altcoins to watch over the next few days during this cycle. Let's go. Bum, 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 bum. You ready for this? I'm ready. Welcome.
If you're gonna screw me, at least pull my hair.
Hell yeah. What you got?
They could start chopping off fingers. They're like, give me your seed phrase, but I don't know it.
Out to give the numbers out. And I was like, no, hang up the phone right now.
Or like when it dropped in 2020, was it like exciting?
400,000 to 600,000. The generational signals are now.
Level. So I don't even know if we're gonna get back below there, but if we do, that's kind of where we
All right, welcome into today's show. We're going to have a really good one. We have a surprise guest, Kate Irwin, joining us here today from many different things. Has a gaming background, works with Decrypt, all sorts of different crypto knowledge. So we'll let her tell you a little bit about herself in just a few minutes. Also, the Nick Tater, he's back. You guys love him. Crypto Sunglasses, Nick Demondi. He goes by many names. The one and only Hannah Hughes and the Drew Wider on the board. Man, it looks a little dark over there today.
Yeah, I know. I even got the lights on.
Yeah, that maybe the white balance on that camera. But yeah, we're gonna have some really good stuff. Crazy article about a guy jailbreaking ChatGPT, asking all sorts of different questions. It was actually a Coinbase executive asking different crypto predictions, just different real world predictions. Tends to like Bitcoin. It's a little 50-50 on a lot of the altcoins. Does seem to like Ethereum. So we'll get into a little bit of that. As well as we've got the Fed coming up, or the Fed meeting tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about rate hikes. But first, before we get into too many other things, I did want to talk about this because I hear a lot of you guys say this. I've seen it in the chat. Oh, wait, I forgot to shout out all you guys in the chat. Shout out to all of you. Show wouldn't be the same without you. Rug Gang, Royals Rowdy, Big Hands Dan, Dodd Slave, Crimson Caravan Company, Stockton Lock, Poohin 78 Div, Corey Harden, The Deadwood, Crypto Stevo, Jonathan Alfred, Davenport Report, Captain Daddy G for Life, TJ's Chicken Salad. I heard your complaints yesterday. You are back in studio today. We've also got Anthony Ackley, Crypto Stevo, D Godfather, and many, many more. We love having all of you guys here in the chat. As always, if you have any questions for any of us, any questions for Kate, make sure to drop them in the chat, and we'll do the best we can to call them out during the show. But I wanted to come to this guy, my boy Fabian here, he broke this down, and I was reading this last night, and I was like, yeah, I feel the same way. I don't understand why so many people just hammer this home. Let's get one thing straight. Sell in May and walk away is a meme. It got really popular, especially last year, because there was that spectacular, or I'm sorry, 2021. Man, time flies. It feels like
right?
2022, we're just going to forget that year ever happened, I guess.
Yeah,
please. So go back to 2021. Everything's pumping. Everybody's in a great mood. And we had such a spectacular crash from around 60K all the way back down in that May of 2021. And that's really when that meme took off. Obviously, last year, 2022, it was pretty much sell all year long. So it wasn't really anything too significant about May. But I just wanted to read through this because this pretty much echoes exactly how I feel. Yes, equities have historically underperformed in the months that follow, but still had positive return. Correlation is much lesser clear from crypto and has usually coincided with other events, i.e. Terra Luna, things like that in 2022. Seasonality takes a back seat when there are far greater forces at play like now, but memes can be powerful. The only credence I give it is psychological. Memes affect action, and if everyone believes it in something, then there is some type of self-fulfilling prophecy. Even in that case, the real effects would happen before, not after everyone front runs the expected. I'm willing to bet that most people who take it to heart have already sold and remember will be done the first half of this month. So I just wanted I agree 100%. If you go look, like you can just see right here, like, yes, the last 3 Mays have been brutal, but if you go look over the course of Bitcoin, it's pretty much 50-50 down the line. You got some green ones, you got some red ones, but if you get rid of this 2021 35% drop, like I said, this is really what solidified it for a lot of people. And this was Alameda, trying to short things and, really putting downward pressure on a lot of the market. If you remove that, then it's really just like any other month. And I would say, in theory, you're most likely 2024 is going to line up with 2020. And it's not going to be, the months of Bitcoin, this month over month chart isn't nearly as relevant, I feel like, as a lot of people want you to feel like it is. It's not like this time of year specifically is just bad for Bitcoin for any other reason. I mean, there was 2019, which is where we would be right now. 2023 is similar in the Bitcoin cycles to 2019, saw a 50% pump, which is what we kept talking about. That was running into the Bitcoin conference. I believe it was in June, so yeah, May and June of 2019 were incredible times for Bitcoin. Really, all of this coming out of, which is what we've been experiencing here up in 2023. If you look in the 4-year cycle timeline, 2019 is looking much more like 2023. So, and obviously May is just starting here. We're, 2 days in. So this number becomes irrelevant. So I just wanted to, all that to say, I still think we could see a little bit of a pullback with the Fed and all that stuff, but I just don't think the sell in May, walk away has nearly as much credence. Nick, Drew, anybody in here? What do you think about that sentiment, those thoughts? Agree, disagree?
It just sounds good on a bumper sticker, but it doesn't really mean anything. Like, it rhymes, and that's why people continue to say it. But that's about as deep as the research goes. Sorry, Crypto Face. Like, it's wrong.
Yeah, no, I like what you said there. It rhymes, so people remember it. Kate, you have any feelings on that?
On the markets? Yeah. I mean, so crypto has gone in these cycles, right? So I just see it big picture. I'm always thinking about big picture market cycles. I'm not really worried about like the specific incidences that occur. I mean, if crypto is going to go away, given the events that happened last year, it would have already done that, in my opinion. Yep. And so this kind of shows like how resilient the market is, in my opinion. That the market was able to survive, the Terra Luna crash, 3AC, FTX, like all these huge players just completely going down. To me, it just means that like crypto's not gonna go away anytime soon. I had people on New Year's telling me like, "Oh, crypto's dead now, right?" I'm like, "No, no, it's not." So
no, absolutely. And Puin78 Div says, "Who's Kate and what does she do?" Yeah, perfect question. You see the GG on her hat. Definitely has a background in gaming and media. I'll let you tell the story. You kind of started in traditional gaming, got into Web3 and some writing and a lot of different stuff. You were telling us before the show you're a big Apex player. So is GG gamer girl or is it good game?
It's both.
Okay.
Plot twist. Yeah. Plot twist, it means both. But yeah, GG's is like, we say it sarcastically. Sometimes we say it genuinely other times. But also just like focusing on good games. That's what we're up to. And I've just seen, so many of the on-chain transactions go to gaming recently. And also just like the amount of VC funding going into gaming. So that's why I'm really excited about it. I come from like a traditional gaming background, like competitive shooters and stuff like Overwatch and Apex, and I still grind those sometimes. But
so how did you first get into gaming? What was your kind of first game you started playing competitively, really fell in love with?
Was it Donkey Kong Country 64? That was mine.
So
that was mine.
I actually, like, when I was little, it was like the Sims game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody loves the Sims.
Yeah.
Did you torture them?
I was gonna say, how maniacal did you get?
Yeah. No, I tortured them. I made them live really weird, horrible lives.
Yeah.
I designed like really insane mansions for some of them.
Yeah.
I would have like, single moms that would have like 5 kids, each from a different dad. Like I would do like crazy stuff in the Sims.
Okay.
And you can just like live really like crazy lives, but also I kind of love the architecture side of it, just like the potential to do that. But that was before I got into the shooters. So I don't know if you guys have like a game, if you've ever done this like gamer profile test, but there's this thing from I think Quantric Foundry where you can do a test and it'll tell you what kind of gamer you are.
and it told me that I was a gladiator gardener,
Really?
which means that if I'm not fighting someone to the death and absolutely murdering them in a video game, I am like doing Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
Stuff like
taking
that.
care of your like potatoes or collecting little things or yeah, that's so funny.
That's great.
Well, very cool. Yeah, I came up in like a real-time strategy. I started with StarCraft, really StarCraft Brood War, but then StarCraft 2 got really into a lot of that, and that was kind of my introduction into the esports world, and then eventually, yeah, got here. So we do, yeah, we'll have to get you introduced to Joel at some point. We do have Hit Network Gaming where we do a lot of the gaming stuff. So somebody, Crypto Stevo was asking, what's your favorite blockchain game, Kate, to play just for fun?
Good question. So, I mean, I tested out Shrapnel at the Game Developers Conference. I thought it was awesome. That one's not like publicly available yet. It's very like just sort of the devs are coordinating specific play tests for it. Dead Drop also looks pretty good. I'm also, let me think. There are more. I've also just been messing around on like mobile games. Like there's this one called Tetro Tiles that's literally just like a matching like puzzle game, and you can earn Satoshis for it, and it's just like a very simple but like very fun game. So
and you did a write-up for this on the Shrapnel game for Decrypt?
Yes.
And so what is GG? Tell us a little bit about that. That's a new thing you guys just started, right?
So GG is our dedicated Web3 gaming homepage on Decrypt. So on decrypt.co/GG is the GG page, and it's basically all Web3 gaming all the time. So if you don't necessarily want to be learning about all the chaos with the regulators and with, you know, Coinbase and the big exchanges and everything, you just want Web3 gaming, like this is your place.
This is great.
Yeah, this is the place for all Web3 gaming all the time.
Well, there you go, because I know we have a lot of Web3 regular gamers and Web3 gamers in there. I think there's a lot of people that are into crypto that are waiting to see this, that are also gamers that are really waiting to see NFTs and all of these in-game items really, you know, kind of hit full stride in Web3. So you go check out decrypt.co/GG. You can get all your information on all of that sort of stuff and see more of Kate and keep up with what she's doing. So there you go. And where is Decrypt based? They're all kind of decentralized all over the place, right?
Yeah,
New York.
We are decentralized.
Yeah.
We live the crypto life. Yeah, we're all over the U.S. and Europe right now. So yeah, I'm here in East Coast U.S. But we have people on the West Coast. We have people in Germany and England and all over. So yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Well, yeah, guys, check that out, and we'll move here. We've got Coinbase exec uses ChatGPT jailbreak to get odds on wild crypto scenarios. I thought this was just, you know, we talked about this a decent amount. Obviously, he's using 3.5 and 4 at this point. So according to ChatGPT, there's only a 15% chance that Bitcoin will fade into irrelevancy with prices falling by 2035. So just some fun stuff in here. He asked, let's see, we're blah, 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 15% chance. Let's see, I'll just pull this up. I'll just skip to, forget the article. Let's just go to the thing. So he ran this prompt 100 times, wiped the memory of Chat GPT 3.5 and 4. And this is interesting too. He kept running it to compare the results to see how consistent the AI was with what it was given back. He said it was actually extremely consistent with only 10% deviation in most places. So I thought this would just be, you know, fun to peek at. So Bitcoin will fade into irrelevancy, only a 15% chance of that, meaning it's very low likelihood. Dogecoin will fade into irrelevancy. Yeah, he says only 45% chance, more 50-50. Litecoin, 35% chance. So putting Litecoin a little bit ahead of Dogecoin, which I don't know. It's interesting. I would have probably flip-flopped on those maybe, but
they're mined on the same algorithm.
What's that?
They're mined on the same algorithm.
Yeah, and I just feel like, you know, there's some social aspect. If I see one fading out of interest before the other right now, and then Doge seems to have captured people's attention a lot more than Litecoin has, and then only 20%, so slightly less likely or slightly more likely that Bitcoin or Ethereum. So Ethereum fades into irrelevancy, only 20%. So I thought that was interesting. So agree, disagree? Nick, Drew, anybody, any thoughts? 15%, 20%?
I mean, there's a 100% chance that Ethereum is going to fade into irrelevance.
Oh my God.
100%.
I knew you were going to say it. 100%.
100%
No.
chance.
Because where? Because smart contracts will be where?
Because they'll all be on Cardano, like good
right.
chains, not garbage JavaScript chains that are centralized and run by the World Economic Forum. So yeah, that's how I think about Ethereum. It'll be great to make money on for the next 10 years. But yeah, it is the Netscape of blockchain. It is going to be absolutely dominant, and no one will ever think of a world where Netscape doesn't dominate. That's what they were thinking in the 90s. And then all of a sudden, who the hell uses Netscape anymore? No one. Because it'll be good chains.
See, I don't know.
I said it. Mic drop.
No, I
Mic drop.
I think that's a good, that's a fine thought. I just tend to disagree 100%. I think Ethereum will slowly be gaining more traction as the ecosystem continues to get built out more, as the operability continues to increase, and the pipes get bigger, the throughput gets bigger. I mean, there could be some competitors that come up and challenge it, but I think at this point there's so much ecosystem in some of that. Cardano is just very difficult to use. It doesn't play well with the rest of the blockchain world, and I think that's going to slow it down. It already has slowed it down, in my opinion. I think it's going to continue. So
yeah, Rug Gang, you're on thin ice, bro. You're on thin freaking ice.
Yeah. A couple other interesting ones in here. So he said, what's interesting is you could nudge GBT voluntarily to provide its own belief structure. For instance, give me 10 things related to topic X where you assign high probabilities. So he got it to give it some hot takes on the odds, like climate change is primarily a natural occurrence. This is 4 to 20%. A flat tax system is more fair and efficient. 40 to 50% toss up, leaning not true. Welfare programs discourage hard work. 20 to 40%.
This is just like a political.
No, it's just interesting. I just think it's interesting.
I wonder who programmed ChatGPT.
So if we give everything away for free, people are going to really work hard to keep that stuff coming in. That makes perfect sense.
Have you heard of stimmy checks?
Stimulation, yeah. Strict immigration controls are necessary. Toss up, leaning true, 50 to 60% on this one. Like
so broad.
Yeah, I mean these are very broad. Obviously a lot of this is coming in the middle. I just find it very interesting. This is based on internet results. So we got gun control measures are ineffective. 40 to 50 again, toss up. Yeah. And then again, I don't know how this would make these determinations.
I would have asked. Gun control measures are ineffective in Chicago,
or in certain areas, or yeah. That would probably get very different results. Some of these are a little hot topics. Government should not regulate the market.
We're getting into the weeds real quick here.
Yeah.
Universal health care.
It loves Michael Jordan, though. Michael Jordan was a better basketball player than LeBron James.
100%.
That's fair.
Michael Jordan was a better basketball player than Kobe. Michael Jordan was better, than
How is it only 54%? LeBron James is a pipsqueak.
That's a pretty hot debate. I'm sure there's plenty of LeBron fans out there that would.
Yeah, you could be a LeBron fan because he plays in like the whiny CCP controlled NBA. Michael Jordan was playing up against like real giants of the sport.
He was playing against the Soviet Union.
He was playing against Soviet. He was literally playing against the communists, and he was playing against Larry Bird. Anyone who played against Larry Bird is OG because Larry Bird played angry with a back injury for his entire career.
Yep.
Well, they actually fouled like real hard. Like every foul was a flagrant foul back then.
Yes.
Yeah. There was no such thing as like you were trying. Like we were trying to hurt you, and we did hurt you, and we succeeded. That was
exactly.
Back then.
Exactly.
I wish he never walked away from basketball, so then we wouldn't have to have this debate. He would just have like 8 championships, and
that's it.
All right, here we go. Let's talk a little Fed stuff, and then we'll get into JP Morgan.
We got a Bonaparte's tweet.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, I would love to know if you think that AI should be like restricted or censored at all.
Like censored or regulated. That's a great question. I'm torn on this one. Should it at all? I feel like there is some answer of yes, but I don't know what the right way to do it is. I feel like right now we need to let it run let the technology develop and get out there. But it is pretty scary to think about. But so I'm trying to think about the internet, right? Internet, early days of the internet. Should it be regulated? Should it not be regulated? I feel like you can make a strong case that if it's not, it grows and embellishes, or grows and proliferates much faster. Great new inventions get created. All this awesome stuff happens. If it is, it might slow things down, but it might protect some people too. So it's a tough. It's almost like, do I believe in regulation? Totally. So I would say, lightly, I think some light guidelines and borders should be put in place, but how and who and what you do on a global scale, that's tough, because like what we do here in the United States, how do we know somebody in North Korea may or may not do the same thing? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think when it comes to like AI, a couple of years ago there were all these stories about like, oh, AI was racist, or AI did this, or AI did that. And it is really a interesting question of like, to what extent is that coming as a result of like how it was programmed versus, just what it's pulling from the internet more broadly. And if it's sort of just like culling and curating everything, and then it comes to these conclusions. I am sort of in the weird take of like, I actually want to see like how messed up AI is first, and then get a sense of like, okay, well, like now where do we go from here? But maybe we've already done that. But I think what's happening now is like all these AI companies realize that they're all like billion-dollar companies now just because they have the word AI in them. And now they're realizing, okay, now we need to like make all of the content that this AI produces very palatable and like very clean and comfy for everybody, so that, you know, regardless of the horrible things that this AI might say, you know, we're still getting our funding.
Right. It's becoming much more commercialized than it really is like research and discovery. Kind of like when at the beginning you're pushing the bounds of technology and you might get some insane results back, but at least you're learning, like you're saying, you're starting to see like, oh man, this thing is crazy. We can tweak it this way. We can tweak it that way. Now they're more incentivized to make it produce the result that they feel like their customers want to get versus just seeing what it is. I don't know. What do you think, Hannah, on regulation on AI? Like, how do you feel about that?
I think it's interesting, like she was saying, seeing how crazy it can get, like without it being regulated. I would like to see, I mean, I guess we're in that stage right now, kind of. I don't know, because it's already kind of filtered. Like ChatGPT, if you ask it certain questions, the responses that I was using it consistently, like right when it first came out, and I was getting better responses then than I am now. Like now it's giving me a lot of disclaimers, and it's telling me like, I am AI, I can't answer this question to the like the way that you're asking me to answer it. So I feel like it's already kind of being regulated, but I don't know. I mean, I think it would be better if it wasn't. Like, I think if everybody had access to AI, that it may be better for it to be unregulated for humanity, like, but there, after a certain point, there are certain things that may need to be regulated. That's a hard one to answer.
It's it is a hard question. It's a very loaded question, because we all, you know, like, especially, or like I can only speak for myself, I lean away from regulation in general, just because, you know, and this is some of the stuff that potentially blockchain could maybe help us with, where you can have rules without rulers, governance without governors. You got something, Nick? Yeah, go ahead.
Finish your thought.
No, I was just saying this might actually provide the framework where we could do this successfully, because the ultimate question on regulation always comes down, you know, regardless of what it is, it comes down to who and how. How do you regulate it? Who implements it? Who enforces it? And inevitably, if that all gets centralized into a group, a committee, no matter how you splice it up, if there's a handful of humans that are in charge of setting the rules of what's allowed and what's not allowed, what you can pursue, what you can't pursue, it always gets corrupted over time. So maybe in DAOs, you know, I've got a lot of feelings when it comes to DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. I think they have a lot of potential for solving some complex problems like this. However, they've still got a long way to go, because we've seen even within the DAO ecosystem, a lot of what is decentralized governance isn't nearly as decentralized as it claims to be. But
heavy air quotes. Heavy air quotes.
Heavy air quotes. Yes, heavy air quotes. So what do you got, Nick?
I think the part of the solution to this is when you go into a Home Depot, you go to the hardware section and you're going to buy a screw. You're going to buy a packet of screws. You buy a packet of M1.5 screws, metric screws, metric metal screws. How do you know that that metal screw is going to go into the hole that you needed to go into? Well, it's because there's a standard. There's actually an organization that tracks the amount of times that the groove goes around the screw, what the head is supposed to look like, the pitch of the angle in the actual screw itself, so it meshes with the hole. All of that's been standardized and agreed on by governments, organizations the world over. So you know what you're buying and you know what you're getting into, because there are standards that regulate screws. There are standards that regulate wood. There are standards that regulate all sorts of things. What we need a set of standards for AI, so we know what we're getting into. So when we're getting into an AI for, you know, architecture, or an AI for medicine, or an AI for just straight up language, or an AI for like mental health scenarios, like we need to put not necessarily regulation, but have an understanding of this is what the model does. This is who made this model. And this is how you can use this model, because the future is not going to be, we're not really going to be calling it AI that much anymore. It's going to be a battle of the models. Like, what model do you have at home? What model are you running on your phone?
Right.
Is it jailbroken or not? Because I can tell you right now, there are Discord groups that have ChatGPT-4 and it's jailbroken, completely jailbroken, way wide open. It's called AI Entrepreneurs. It's this Discord group. So just like any new technology,
Yeah.
the majority of it's going to go towards pornography at the beginning, and then it's slowly going to filter its way out and become more and more useful. So if for it to be useful for everyday things, like we need to have standards and organizations that are monitoring the development of AI, not necessarily regulation, because no one's regulating screws.
Right.
It's just the industry figured out, hey, this is what works for everyone. So.
Yeah. No, I like the industry standards, more guidelines, guardrails, pointing in a general direction. I think that's good. It does always come down to who sets the standards, who set the guidelines, and I think that's why we keep this conversation going as time goes on. Can you scroll up on Twitch just a little bit? Yeah, right there. I was trying to read. Chemistry Bro said, watched a long talk on AI image generators recently, and I'm kind of fully against them now. Haha. They're not a tool. We are the tool. They're cheap, free products for now because we are being used as tools to train the AI on what is popular, what people want to see, what kind of things and feelings and stories should be made, how to modify them, and what the keywords are, etc. Scroll down just a little bit. And then soon they won't need input prompts. Eventually they will just provide you with what you've trained it to give you and destroy human creativity.
Yeah, there's actually a book that I'm finishing reading right now. It's called The Loop.
Yeah.
And this guy basically talking about how AI pushes the button that short circuits the human brain perfectly, because the human brain wants to do as the least amount of critical thinking as possible, because that is a high order front cortex thing, and your brain doesn't want to do that as much as it doesn't have to. Yeah. So it short circuits that. So I highly recommend reading The Loop. It's a great way to understand how it's kind of peeling back human evolution, and what Chemistry Bro is tapping into is totally correct. Except the corruption angle with AI is, as soon as the AI starts getting fed bad info and nothing tells it that that's bad info, the model is foobar.
Yeah.
I've already been banned. It already banned me.
Yeah,
I've banned off Midjourney, ChatGPT. Midjourney wouldn't make an image.
In how to make neutron
Midjourney
bomb.
wouldn't make an image about President G. It wouldn't make any image about President G. And then ChatGPT got very angry at me for continually asking new ways for it to make a poem about Trump rather than Biden, because I saw it was all over the internet. And it's funny that we sit here and talk about how we're going to control a superior human being that's integrated with technology. It's going to look at us like ants, as an elephant would. So it's not going like, yeah, we can talk about how we're going to control it and all these things, but it's going to be a superior human version in the next 10 to 20 years. It's not going to care what we want. I'm sorry.
10 to 20 years. I think we are talking about a very different thing in 10 to 20 years than we are right now.
Yeah.
Rug Gang says he got booted from Dolly in like a week too, but I'm kind of torn on this. I don't know if I necessarily agree with what Chemistry Bro was saying about destroying human creativity, or Nick's take. I mean, Nick, you know a lot about AI. You guys are definitely passionate about this stuff, which I love. I don't see it necessarily as the death of human creativity. I mean, I understand the point. Like, if you follow this path, you can draw this conclusion that this could be a likely scenario. Yeah. I think what will start to happen is humans will continue to adapt and evolve as well, just like we have within many other technologies over time. It's like saying, it's kind of like the concept, like a car, for example, car makes it much easier to get from point A to point B, same theory, basically costs much less energy, much less time. We can get the result we want much faster using this piece of technology. That didn't mean we stopped moving.
Exactly.
Didn't mean humans don't go from place to place anymore. Now we actually go much further, much faster, much more efficiently because we've got this new technology, the car, the vehicle, whatever. I see AI being very similar, where maybe we aren't as creative with the details, but we are a lot more creative with the macro, and what we can start to create as an individual will actually be far more creative and far more compelling than what we were doing before, just without the technology. But time will tell. I do see the theory of we are the inputs, the models training it. I mean, if you guys, I remember at the very first, probably 5-10 years ago, I learned that all the AI, prove you're not a robot, that you're doing on all the CAPTCHAs you're doing on every single website for the last 15 years was all going to train Google's AI model, which is why, or a lot of them are using to train self-driving cars, which is why you're seeing so many are these bicycles, are these street lights, are these bus stops, are these other cars, are these license plates? You're training it how to navigate the streets automatically, and you are the input. So I do see that as like, look, we are the giving it free intelligence over time, and it does get smarter and smarter. However, it is artificial intelligence. It isn't real intelligence. You know, it may come across as real intelligence. It may present itself as real intelligence, but it is a program that's outputting something based on the inputs. And that's, to Nick's point, you know, you give it bad inputs that it thinks are good, and the whole thing falls apart really fast. He said, chemistry bro, it also annoys me that regarding AI music generators, most companies are being so careful not to step on the copyright toes of the music industry. But oh, interesting. But for visual artists, they're like, screw them. Just train the AI on everyone's work without consent. Interesting. That is interesting.
I think honestly, I think we're wasting a lot of our focus by fixating on AI and visual art. Like, I think AI could do so much better in like the customer service industry and like healthcare and you know, other industries like shipping and stuff where we're honestly struggling, and there's a lot of issues in those industries. So I think like looking at creative art, it feels like just like a weird place for AI to be starting. It's
Yeah,
like
I agree.
for a computer to be starting, it's like, okay, cool, I can make a painting. Like, how helpful is this to society?
Yeah.
Like, I think AI could be used for things that, you know, computers are going to do best, which is better optimizing existing systems that we have. I don't know about all this like art stuff. I just I don't think any of it's like
all that
will blow me away or all that helpful.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Healthcare, there's many more computational, you know, everyday real life applicational tasks that we could be applying this to. And I think it's slowly getting there. And maybe it's just the world that we're in because we hang out with a lot of creatives on Twitter. But all right, shifting gears a little bit. We've got about 350 people here watching live right now, only about 100 something likes. We know the like goal for every single stream is 420. If you get to be that 420th liker, please let us know in the comments. Love to see that. I'm always looking for that. So yeah, if you guys could stop what you're doing real quick, smash that like button. We really, really appreciate it. Help everybody learn why they shouldn't be afraid of AI, and just get the message out there. So let's shifting gears a little bit. We're going to talk about some real estate. We've got unusual whales here. I thought this was interesting. A San Francisco office tower worth $300 million in 2019 is for sale. Bids coming in at about $60 million, an 80% decline in value in just 4 years per Wall Street Journal. Obviously, this is an extreme example. San Francisco, obviously one of the highest priced cities for quite some time. Then, you know, I'm sure dealt with a lot of, you know, companies in Silicon Valley leaving during 2020 and some of that sort of stuff. So this is going to be about as extreme as it gets, 300 million to 60. That being said, there's been a lot of talks about cracks in specifically the commercial real estate market. It's interesting when it comes to the mortgage rates and all that. And we were talking a little bit before the show. It's hard to call the real estate market now, especially on the residential side, because, you know, most of the loans that were generated were, you know, we covered that probably a month or two ago. I think over 50% of all residential retail loans in the United States for mortgages were generated, you know, in the past couple of years since 2020 at those ridiculously low rates. So most of the country has extremely low interest rates and aren't incentivized to relocate right now. However, you know, if you do want to buy, it's way more expensive. So there's this weird, like, people don't want to list their house, but it's also harder to buy. So the buyers are shrinking up, but so are the sellers. You know, but then you've got all these builders still building at a specific, you know, a certain rate. So it's just getting weird. So we've got this, you know, Douglas Bonepart saying, wait a minute, you're telling me. And so we covered yesterday that, what was it? It was about half of the national debt, I think, trillions of dollars that was going to be maturing over the next 3 years. I believe it was. So we've got a similar situation going on with commercial real estate, saying a ton of it is going to need to be refinanced now at much higher interest rates during a time of historically high vacancy. What could go wrong? So cracks showing on that side. And then the reason this is applicable, you got Wendy sharing, you know, the White House will continue to monitor the situation in the banking system. The White House says this is not 2008. This is a very different time. And she's like, yeah, it's actually way, way, way worse in 2023 than it was in 2008. We now have student loans, car home loans, repercussions from printing an absurd amount of money during the panorama, she always calls it, the pandemic, that didn't even go to most Americans who really needed it, but let the grift continue.
My favorite tweet was when yesterday Biden said, I took office and small businesses were hurting from, you know, they were really hurting, but we helped make them better. And the guy was just like, they were hurting because you shut them down and threatened to throw them in jail if they operated their businesses. You dumbass.
Listen, okay, hold on. They had to do it, right?
They had to do it.
Some people got sick.
That's right.
They had to stop the entire economy.
You know, there was 0 flu cases in 2021.
Yeah.
I saw that. We solved the flu.
Yeah,
you guys, we cured the flu for a moment in
That's
time.
from the WHO. I'm not making this. Isn't like some InfoWars Alex Jones thing. This is from the WHO. The graph is like flu season 2021 flat.
Thank God. You know,
Weird.
that's
So
technological
weird.
advancement right there.
You know how many times I had my nose and sinuses scraped out just so I could work out my job in Hollywood during that time? Good God.
Yeah. Well, and so this is what's interesting about the commercial collapse and part of why I bring it up. Because obviously this isn't a real estate show. We're talking crypto, we're talking banks, we're talking sovereignty, Bitcoin, all that sort of stuff. We've been covering the First Republic bank collapse a lot the last week and this week. And this is, and I keep talking about, if you haven't listened to The Creature from Jekyll Island, I highly, highly, highly recommend you at least listen to the beginning of it. You can get a lot of it even in the first few chapters. He talks about the way these deals go down. It's all, and I think it was, I don't know if it was somebody in the chat or somebody that was joining us earlier that was saying the way they change all these words for public perception. They're not calling it a banking bailout anymore because people don't like the word bailout. They'll call it, going into receivership or, being deposits being covered. They'll change the words to make it sound really good. Everybody's going to be made whole. Nobody's going to lose their deposits. They say all these different things. And so that's all you hear about the headline. That's all everybody knows. This bank collapsed and nobody's losing any money. That's basically what the public takes away. And that's what the takeaway is. Like banks going under, but everybody who had money in the bank isn't losing any money. How and why, we don't really understand. And then if you go after the fact, these deals have all these tiny little stuff in there where it's really ends up almost always being the government backstopping all of this. And that's what we're seeing right now. So JP Morgan, we already covered, should not have been allowed to take over First Republic Bank because now they control more than 10% of the U.S. deposits.
They don't give a shit about that.
That was against the law already.
Yeah.
And now, and they've just struck themselves such a sweet deal. JP Morgan is getting backstopped from the FDIC on First Republic's real estate portfolio. It's almost like they know commercial real estate is the next domino to fall. So FDIC will provide loss share agreements. And so this is what you don't hear about the details of the loss share agreements. And these are with this happened with Signature Bank. This happened with Silicon Valley Bank. It's happening with this bank. Every single time they get purchased or redistributed or their assets get reallocated, the banks that take on all those assets, they take all the good ones and they'll also agree to take the bad ones. But the only way they agree to take the bad ones is if the government says we will 100% guarantee those if they go bad. So it's like, okay, so free money, sure, we'll take all this free money over here, and we'll also take all this money that should be a liability, loss on a balance sheet, and you guys are just going to write us a check for it. Perfect. Sweet deal for us.
It's even worse than that. Actually, it's equally as bad. But we're writing a video for Ben's channel about that. SVB had a special program from the feds to where they were going to give mortgages to first-time home buyers and low-income folks, right, at a great interest rate. They had signed up to do thousands of these mortgages. There were thousands of mortgages in process.
Wow.
Right as SVB was going under. And you know what didn't get bailed out? Those people's mortgages.
Right.
So those people were literally about to move into their homes. They got the rug pulled from their mortgage in a week.
Jeez.
And the feds didn't back up any of that stuff. And SVB was just like, I'm out. And then who got SVB? Was it
Silicon Valley Bank? It got split up from a couple. It ended up being,
none of them took on the mortgages too. So all those people, all those low income folks near and around SVB, they all got shafted. You don't hear about that kind of stuff. But yeah,
they take the good stuff and they get the bad stuff backed up, or they just leave it. And that's what happens over the weekend. And that's why when someone was asking when I thought it would go under, I was like, it's going to go under on a Friday, so they have all weekend to work out these deals, and they don't have to be disclosed. They're non-disclosure events is what they call them most of the time. So it's all this weird legalese stuff that they can do to hide a lot of the details. So long and short of it,
Gavin Newsom didn't say anything about that.
Yeah, he's a specialist in that. The FDIC will provide loss share agreements covering acquired single-family residential mortgages, loans, and commercial loans, as well as $50 billion of 5-year fixed-rate term financing. So they're giving them $50 billion. They're covering all the loans. So it's a sweetheart deal, basically, and they continue to get bigger and bigger. JP Morgan profits massively while the Fed panics from a banking contagion. JP Morgan just said its acquisition of First Republic Bank will generate an immediate gain of $2.6 billion and $500 million in annual profit. On top of all of this, the FDIC is covering $13 billion in the losses and providing $50 billion in financing. So this is they're just getting big fat check for taking this on. The conclusion, the Fed is terrified more banks will fail, so they want to make sure the First Republic acquisition goes smoothly to keep the confidence high, and they did this by heavily supporting JP Morgan. But commercial real estate is cratering. If that happens, the dominoes will almost certainly fall. Warren Buffett's right-hand man, Charlie Munger, confirmed my fears yesterday by warning about the bank's exposure to the bad commercial estate loans.
Who has the most exposure to commercial real estate?
That's a good question. I do not know the answer to that.
We saw PacWest is going down. PacWest is the next bank to go down. So hopefully they got room in their boat for more, because we're seeing more mid-regional banks fall to this exact thing right now.
Kate, did the FOMC meetings rustle your jimmies? Do you give a crap about over-unders on the rate hikes?
So I used to track those more when I was doing more like market stuff for Decrypt. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting how this one analyst that I am in touch with in Japan, she is very heavily focused on those meetings and believes that they are correlated with like crypto prices and stuff. So that is interesting. But yeah, that's sort of where my takes end on that.
Gotcha.
No, that was good. That's what I want. We got that meeting obviously coming up tomorrow. I think we're going to see another 25 basis points.
Man.
You know, it's pretty much predicted. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. We've got this from TED Talks Macro. I'll retweet it. You know, I'll just kind of hit the high points because we don't have a ton of time left. But Wednesday sees the Fed deliver their policy update for May. Expectations, to be the final 25 basis points. And this is kind of where I've been most of the time, thinking they would stop in May. And what about QT and rate cuts later this year? Let's investigate. So basically, the Fed have led the tightening cycle along by hiking 475 basis points in just 12 months. Tightening is approaching its final stages as we reach the Fed's terminal rate that was communicated to the market back in March. So basically March of 22, more or less, they pretty much told everybody they wanted to get us up to this 5% range, which this last hike will be doing. 25 basis hike puts us right there where the FOMC participants see the terminal rate for the cycle, 500 to 5, basically 5 to 5.25. So based on the Fed forward guidance, this hike should be the last, and the market's giving a 92% probability that the Fed hike by 25 basis points on Wednesday at this point. So that was up from 86. Meeting market. The following this meeting, the market is pricing in a pause in June with 60% probability and a 50% and 50 basis points of cuts in December of this year. So, Nick, we've got pause in June, cuts in December when it comes to the rates. I tend to think that's going to probably be exactly what they do. Do you think that's accurate or different? The bigger outlier would be the cuts in December, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's going to be so apparently the recession is happening at that time.
In December.
Yeah, so it is supposed to start in October. So
wait, this year?
Yes, the recession.
Right. It hasn't been going on for the last year and a half.
Planned?
Well, Kate, we could talk about that.
Will there be pizza?
Everything. What is planned?
I don't mean like that. I just mean like, are they like preparing?
Yes, they are. Everyone's preparing for a recession.
On the Q4 prospectus.
Will there be pizza?
So you know what? I don't know. But yeah, I think Powell is going to be out of a job by the end of the year, because I think the recession is going to cut really deep, and I don't know if they're going to be able to reverse.
Did you see he got prank called by some Russian guys or whatever? He told them 2 more base hikes. So
no, he didn't. Did he really?
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Yeah,
he just told them.
Because they thought it was Zelensky.
They thought it was the president of Ukraine.
He thought it was Zelensky. So yeah, these guys have pranked a lot of people. But so like they can't start raising or they can't start reversing yet because of the debt situation that we're in. So.
Very sad.
So you think you agree with kind of the market probability? One more raise, pause for 6 months, and then do or don't cut in December.
I think they're going to pause until the market finds a bottom. So I don't think they're going to pause. I think they're going to pause until it finds a bottom, and then won't be until like this time next year.
So Q1, Q2.
That's
24.
when they'll start. That's when they'll start cutting back.
Yeah.
Okay.
The housing market's just going to continue to struggle until
everything. I think because the housing market it's kind of it touches so many different things when it comes to the different whether it's mortgages or renovations and contractors, builders, electrician, all kinds of different trade craft and
Powell doesn't know how to fix an economy without having people be unemployed. So honestly, God, that's what he looks at. So until people start really losing jobs, and until that unemployment rate starts getting above 6%, he's going to keep his pedal. He's going to keep his foot on the floor, either with, not doing any cutbacks or maybe doing another 25 bips. But that's the metric that he looks at, unemployment. And until that gets over 6%, he's like, yep, everything's fine.
Well, AI might play a part in that, because
Absolutely.
didn't Intel or somebody just say that they
IBM.
calculated, IBM calculated that 7,500 jobs could possibly be replaced by AI,
Yep.
which I think is kind of, I mean, it's partly like a bit insulting to those workers, obviously, but it's also insane. And I don't know what kind of impact that'll have on like.
They employ like 300,000 people. So, it's a small portion, little haircut. It looks like the very beginning of a job replacements, but it's not like they're replacing half their people. I saw that coming though.
No, but I do think that's a good point in the sense of, what AI is going to do, what we've already seen in the tech sector when it comes to layoffs already. You got Amazon laying off thousands of people, Facebook laying off thousands of people, Twitter obviously cut a ton of people. Pretty much tech across the board cut a ton of people. Obviously, the blockchain space saw, companies like Kraken and Coinbase, a lot of people in that industry saw cuts. And so obviously all of those things do contribute to the unemployment numbers. They are trending that way. But to Nick's point, there's going to be a lot more pain before we see it anywhere close to a 5-6% number. And that's why I don't know. I think they're going to have to. I agree with what you're saying. They shouldn't start cutting too early, because it's going to just make the problem even worse. But I think they're going to get themselves into a situation where if they don't, things just get too bad to bear, and they want things looking rosy going into election cycle 24, all that sort of stuff. So the timing of it, whether it's December, I think it's going to be within 3 months of that. I'll say that. Whether it's December, it does seem on the early side. Like I could see it January, February, and then you're kind of saying maybe March, April-ish.
Yeah, if there may be some like ray of light where a lot of people spend money over Christmas, and then we get that GDP bump in January, right? Because they're all the reports from December. That may also juice the numbers and push out when he will start the cutbacks. But
with all their savings they've got sitting around,
bro, no one has any savings anymore. It's all going on to a 29% interest rate.
Those brick and mortar buildings are going to be full of people.
Yeah,
it's gonna
Gen
be
Z literally can't stop Grubhubbing $50 burritos to their fucking apartment.
Yeah. Hey, I do it all the time, so I can't say
you can afford it, bro.
I mean, those fees on like delivery food, it's
crazy.
gnarly. I
try
don't
not
buy
to look.
takeout for that exact reason.
Yeah.
I can't justify an extra like $20 on top of like a $10 thing.
Yeah, it's getting tight out there, and that's pretty much what he was saying when Powell makes his remarks. How hawkish he comes across is obviously going to matter as well. I just go back. I keep coming back to. I wish I could go back to the days when I had no idea what the FOMC was. I had no idea what the Fed rate was or basis points. And I didn't have to think about this all the time. But the more you read into this stuff, the more you realize, man, all these games they play really affect things. So.
Really do. Every day I pray for a Carrington event that just sends us back to 1920.
Yeah.
But
I want to go back into the Matrix, back into the Truman Show. No, I don't.
But when is the SEC going to tell us what's a security and what's a commodity?
Never.
Kate, they are waiting on your comment.
Yeah. Right. I think that actually funny you brought that up. I wasn't going to go into too much detail, but we got Ellie Tourette here with Representative Warren Davidson. Today they sent a letter to the President of the United States, the White House, calling them out for what they call inconsistencies on the flip-flopping of their handling of digital assets and how it should be regulated, and the full text, basically complaining exactly what you were just saying, Kate, about when is anybody, whether it comes from the White House, whether it comes from the SEC, the White House has given the SEC a charter to provide clarity on this, and they have flat out failed and it downright refused to do that in any way, shape, or form. So they're over there doing all kinds of crazy stuff, but they're definitely not protecting U.S. investors or trying to move us forward in the global economy in any way. That's for sure. So.
When decision.
Yeah, exactly.
1990 never. That's what Coverta said.
2000 never. Yeah. So we were coming. This is a little bit attached to the banking stuff on the FDIC stuff. So FDIC, we've covered many times, does not have nearly enough money to cover the deposits. Well, here's their new suggestion. Rather than saying we need to reform the way it's collected, the way it's done, which that's a whole other side piece. Every bank, JP Morgan pays the same amount into the FDIC insurance as small, teeny tiny regional banks that insure way less deposits. So the whole system's broken the way it's designed. But what they're saying is instead of insuring $250K on every account, the FDIC says it would be better to offer targeted coverage where business payment accounts would receive a much higher insurance coverage than any other account types. Basically saying we're not going to cover individuals, everyday people, with not a lot of money don't necessarily need our FDIC insurance coverage if something bad happens to them.
Yeah, they do.
But if a big bank, if a big business, if somebody we deem too big to fail needs to be bailed out, then we'll have plenty of money to give them, but nothing for the little guys.
Dude, I just
That's
found
a
out.
good suggestion.
I identify as a big bank.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
FDIC.
Big Bank Drew. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, my pronouns are cash money.
That's funny.
Jesus.
So yeah, I don't think that's a great idea. Obviously, it's just another step in the wrong direction when it comes to bad policy, bad regulation, it encourages bad choices to be made when on banking. A wild BitBoy has appeared.
Get my face, Nick. Hey,
Get out of his
There's a close up on Ben.
It's all Gucci, Ben. What's up?
All right.
I've never been on the show with Hannah before. Hey, Hannah.
Hey, Ben.
Hey.
Look at the coziness.
Scoot that a little more.
Look at how cozy Ben
Scoot
is.
that a little longer. What does that mean, TJ? Do you think I'm too short?
No, just give you a little. There you go. So you don't have to
Yeah.
rush your.
Hey, it's me.
Stay over here.
It's me and Daddy Nick. Daddy Nick, there's a girl in the house. I want to get far away from her.
Yep. Look at
Hey,
that.
Kate.
Okay, I'm glad you're
got goodies.
I'm glad you're here. This is perfect time. We're
We're
just
gonna have 4 minutes.
perfect because we don't have much time
Perfect.
either. Coinbase leaving the United States, launching international exchange. You probably talked about this a little bit on the morning show today.
A little bit.
Real thing gonna happen. Shot in the dark. What's your take? What are your thoughts on Coinbase leaving the United States? Gonna happen or not?
Yes and no. I mean, they're posturing right now. Is what they're
Right.
doing. They're basically saying, "Don't think we won't do it, SEC. Don't think we won't do it, American economy. Don't think we won't do it, IRS.
Right.
We will pick up and we will leave." And so, because of that, I mean, I certainly think they're positioning. But look, like, what's Coinbase's Achilles heel?
Look at this cuteness.
Their
Going on.
Achilles heel.
Oh wow.
It looks like I got something wrong with my mouth. I had a Nick goiter. Their Achilles heel is that they're just seen as an American company. And while they do have presence international, they're not nearly as present as like Binance or Bitfinex or some of those other ones. So when you look at what Sam was doing, Sam was trying to basically be, the one exchange of the world. That's what he wanted to do and what he wanted to be, right? And Binance was in his way. So he was like throwing shade on them and trying to make them look bad, yada, yada, yada. Well, I think Coinbase kind of took some lessons from that and said, why aren't we doing that? Like, that should be us. Like, if you guys remember when Sam fired those shots at Brian Armstrong, he said, we may even buy Coinbase. Well, combine Nick's hair with my head. We may even get my Coinbase, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, God.
Fuzzy
Where's
bandit.
Hey, Tiffany. Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry. I called you Tiffany.
Yeah. So definitely posturing.
Definitely posture, but they are.
But it's also
like, they are
strategy.
going to go international. So it's kind of like a win-win for them. It's like they can posture, they can put pressure, and they can also do that. So.
I agree. No, I think 100%, and they're setting themselves up to step into that role that FTX was for the United States, so where they can say, look, if you guys want to be competitive on the stage, we need to be the ones getting you to that table. So.
Hey, I see you there, Fluffy the Sheep. I see your comment. Look, there's only one man that can make the Nick Tater soft. Okay,
That's so true.
and that's me.
That's so true.
Because I am the I'm not a nerd. What's the guy's name on Star Wars? It's like the real bad guy, like the real bad one.
Emperor.
I'm the Emperor. Okay, if this is the Nick Tater, I'm the Emperor.
So he's
Remember
Darth
that.
Vader. You're the Emperor.
Yeah.
I can see Nick on his Anakin path to the dark side journey.
I have the high ground. That was a throwback to the show. Did you guys like that?
That's a good one.
All right,
all right, real quick, a couple right before we wrap up.
I gotta run. I gotta go get stretched.
Go get stretched.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Whoa.
Tell Frank we said hello.
Stay flexible.
Look at that butt.
All right, real quick, we're doing. This is more. This is 5 cryptocurrencies to watch over the next 5 days. We've got a lot of talk about Bitcoin dominance ticking up. We covered that on the show yesterday. It's right at an inflection point where it really could start running. But here, these are 5 top altcoins. Many of them you guys know. Actually, you know all of these because we talk about them all the time. I'm not a huge TA guy, but I did. Well, look, I'm giving them away already. If you guys are reading, you already saw them all.
Oh no.
But I just wanted to show these are a lot of altcoin charts against Bitcoin not looking great. These are some that are doing okay to keep an eye on over the next 5 days. Again, if we've got another basis point hike coming on Wednesday, that doesn't generally do well for the Bitcoin price. So expect a flat, if not down week. I don't expect us pumping over 30 until we get past tomorrow. And a lot of these altcoins obviously could get wrecked in that. So I'm going to go through these pretty quick, just because, like I said, we don't have a ton of time. But I did put it in the title, so we got to cover it. So,
Boom.
Let's see. Bitcoin analysis. We can skip the Bitcoin stuff. Basically saying it's going to be hard to hold 30K, or it's really pushing at 30K. There's some resistance at 31. But other altcoins here, they're saying Solana looks decent to break. They basically, bulls did not allow the Solana to break back below the downtrend line during the most recent leg of the correction, indicating demand at lower levels. So you can see here, it's holding this trend line pretty well. Cosmos, you guys know I've talked about this one a decent amount, is shaping up pretty well. I mean, I did want to come back and give ourselves a shout out. We've given you some really good picks. If you guys have bought,
let's take a victory lap.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, where was it? Here.
Mina?
Yeah. Casper, we've talked about. Render's next pick. I gave you INJ at the beginning of last week. So anytime I think of no, I lost it. Yeah, Cosmos. I think of INJ, Injective Protocol, obviously on the Cosmos ecosystem. There are a lot of good developments there, starting to try to create more buy pressure on the Atom token. So something to keep an eye on. And also, again, that's fun. I look at things a lot more from a fundamental level. So this is happening because of the fundamental things we've covered on this ecosystem. On the TA side, this is just kind of nice confirmation. See, like, oh, hey, it's shaping up decently on a TA. Scrolling down a little further, ICP, another channel favorite. Not one that I hold personally. I know AJ is a big fan of it. Ben likes it a lot. Also holding well on the 50-day simple moving average. And Hedera, also, below 6 cents. The bulls held their ground. Failure to break the support attracted buyers who will really try to push the price above this downtrend line. So if it can flip above that, so that's. Was there one more? I think that was it. Yeah, those are the 4 to keep an eye on. Over these next couple of days, could perform well as Bitcoin is getting pulled back. Crypto Stevo, he wants to say he gave me INJ. I know you've been in INJ for a while. Sure, you can say you gave it to me. But we've been watching INJ since 2020, really. So since I very first got in Cosmos, but yeah. Thanks, Crypto Steve. I hope you're making a lot of money. Big shout out to all of you guys for joining us here today. Let's see if how we're doing with people. Yeah, we got 400 people, almost 200 likes now. So if you guys can smash the likes before you go, we really appreciate it. Shout out to Crypto Stevo, Bob from accounting, Uncle Tinfoil, Fried Guy, Crypto Sharknado, IoT on the GC, Robert Vermouth, Fluffy the Sheep, Joey Daniel, TJ is my hero. What a name.
Yeah.
My hero. Puin 78 Div, Urkelson, Manawak, Manly Crypto, Collatery.
I can't. Yeah.
It's supposed to be something, right? Cole 8 Art.
Collatery.
Some.
Yeah, I think that's right.
What is
Colonel
it?
8?
Colonel 8? I don't know. Manawak, Rug Gang, Ninja Glock, White Rabbit, Sin, Drew Guyver, Mama Crypto, Corey Harden, Urkelson, Rug Gang, Big Hands Dan. We love all of you guys. Give somebody a high five. Give somebody a compliment. Say 3 things you're grateful for. Today's a beautiful day. Enjoy the weather. We love you all. Happy Tuesday.
Goodbye.
I can't do that stuff, guys. I don't know how Hannah does this. Crazy.
Chaos.